Pittsburgh Steeler fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman, senior editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, and we are back for another episode of the Steelers preview. Myself and the rest of the yellow crew are here. I guess it's gold. I'm sorry. It's black and gold. Nonetheless, we're all wearing gold shirts. For those that are in audio, you don't know what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And joining us, as always, Dave Schofield, editor of BTSC. What's up, Dave?
You took my line. I was going to say, welcome here tonight to the Steelers preview. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the color yellow and the number 2.
If you wouldn't have said something right before we went on the air, I wouldn't have said anything. So that's your fault. Bryan Anthony Davis, the podcast producer. What's up, Bryan?
Hey, fellas, I'm so glad to be here. And it's so nice to be previewing a game when you're not hoping to get off the schneid.
Yes. And Justin says it. I was going to say it. Seattle has 3 losses. I've got to be honest with you. I listened to Dave's Stat Geek podcast this morning on the way to work, and every single time he said Seattle, he said Seattle. It literally is like in my head, has 2 losses, has 2 losses, has 2 losses.
Man, last week after we got off the show, I watched the rest of that game, and I was cheering for the Seahawks like I was cheering for the Steelers because I wanted them to come into this game with 2 losses. So after 2 years, I could finally be justified.
And I want to explain in case someone just randomly stumbled upon her. There's people that just started listening last offseason. They might say, what are they talking about? It was about 2 years ago. We were in the middle of a discussion, and we asked Bryan a question. It had nothing to do with the Seahawks.
Well,
and he said,
we have to admit, about 5 minutes beforehand, we were talking about teams and the number of losses they had, and we had so moved on from that.
He was caught up in the live chat, is what it was. He's reading the live chat.
Which I don't bother with anymore. I got wise.
And Bryan just randomly just blurts out, Seattle has 2 losses.
Yeah, I think Seattle has 2 losses.
What? And there's only one other time it was something similar, and that was the BJ Finney X Factor that you used.
I thought I was being very creative with the BJ Finney X Factor because it was a trade, and it failed.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. It's all right. All right. So welcome to the show. For those that are listening in audio, make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts or Steelers or Behind the Steel Curtain. Subscribe, follow, whatever you have to do. And make sure Behind the Steel Curtain is your one-stop shop for all things Steelers. Let's get this show started off with some news. I got to be honest. I do the Injury Report podcast. I want Dave to talk about this in a second. Russell Wilson practiced today, gentlemen. I mean, yeah, limited. I don't know what the heck Pete Carroll's trying to pull here. Is this like some Belichick thing? Everyone's like, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. We're already talking about the next quarterback, Geno Smith. And then all of a sudden I'm doing the Injury Report podcast. Seattle turns their injury report in at like 8 o'clock at night, and he practiced. I can't make it up. Like, seriously, what the heck is going on? Dave, what are they doing in Seattle? Let's not even talk about the Steelers injury report yet. Russell Wilson practiced. DK Metcalf was downgraded, by the way, from limited and did not practice today with a foot injury. Chris Carson has not practiced yet. These are big injuries for the Seahawks, but what do you make of this Russell Wilson stuff? I literally was in a tizzy.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find the quote, because I was like, all right, I've got to go here and look on Twitter. Someone's going to explain this. Then I found it was a Seahawks reporter for ESPN. His name is Brady Henderson. He said, Russell Wilson is listed as limited today. He can practice as much as his finger injury allows until the Seahawks put him on IR, assuming they do. Not a good, and then he went on to other stuff. So honestly, that would be no different than Juju Smith-Schuster deciding to go out and run sprints with the team with his shoulder sling, because he was at practice. Saw a picture of him today, and then the Steelers saying, "Oh, look, he's limited," because technically you could do that. To me, it would be about the equivalent. I think they're messing with people. Russell Wilson, I don't see any way they could get away with trying to play him this week.
And we all saw that picture of his finger. It was grotesque. It was disgusting looking. Bryan, is Pete Carroll just, I'm just going to say messing around? I normally use a different term, but is he just messing with the Steelers?
You know what? The Steelers aren't falling for it. Yeah, but he's putting that out there because they just haven't made the move yet. But I was joking with Kevin Smith our very own Cliff Harris is still a punk about this. And I said, so what do you make out of this? He's like, well, yeah, he is limited in practice. He's at practice, but he's doing nothing. So he's limited.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about
that. You know, I mean, yeah, you can put that all you want. That's not going to scare anybody. I mean, they're preparing for Geno Smith, you know, so that's.
Well, we have to remember what limited means. It could be you literally went out and stretched with the team. It could mean that you did every single thing, but sat out one rep just because you're like, oh wow, I stubbed my toe on that one. Let me sit out one rep. That is the range of limited.
I get that too, because in how many years of doing this podcast, I've been limited every single week.
Well, no, hold on. Now, Dave, I'm not suggesting that Russell Wilson's going to play.
No.
My question is what's Pete Carroll doing?
He's screwing with everybody.
Screwing with everyone. Because
in my opinion, that's what
because he can.
Well, he can, but unless
or taking it to the NFL sometimes coaches do this kind of stuff with the injury report just because they don't like how mandated they are with the injury report. It could even be something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but it's funny.
It is funny. Mm-hmm. The bigger injury news on the Seattle side is, again, D.K. Metcalf with a foot injury was downgraded from limited Wednesday to did not practice Thursday. That's big news. He's a huge weapon, figuratively and literally. And then also Chris Carson, the running back, did not practice the last 2 days. So, Dave, you have the Steelers injury report. If you could please read over that and let everyone know what's going on heading into Friday.
I tell you what, this is not a bad injury report for the Steelers at all. There was 2 players on the list that did not play. One of which did not practice. One of which is Juju Smith-Schuster. And you're saying, what, Juju? I'm like, yes, the Steelers have not replaced him on the 53-man roster. If I could take 30 seconds, if that, to say, people are like, what are they waiting for? Don't they need that spot? They're waiting to see if they need a specific spot, if they need a specific position is what I'm assuming. Why bring someone on the roster now, whether it be bringing back Zach Banner or Anthony McFarland, if you're going to have to turn around and need to do something because you need somebody else in the secondary, or you've got 2 wide receivers who were limited the last 2 days, which we'll get to in a second. Maybe you need another wide receiver. Maybe they're keeping it open specifically to use for this game to then make some bigger changes over the bye week, if you know what I mean. So that's probably why he's still there. I would be really surprised if he's still on the roster for the game, unless everyone's going to be healthy and they knew whoever they bring in, they're just going to have inactive. Why have to pay somebody else the salary when you're going to be paying Juju anyway once he goes on IR? So there's some reasons for that. Let's move on. The other player who didn't practice today was Kellow Witherspoon. That was a coach's decision. Didn't say not injury related. It said coach's decision.
And he was there, by the way.
Was he there?
Brian Batko at the Post-Gazette said that he was there. I'm pretty sure it's Brian. Said he was there. So that means it wasn't like.
I thought his tweet said he was there Wednesday. Meaning that
maybe I misread it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see if I can find it here after a bit. We're
going to talk about a Kellow in a second. Go ahead and read it.
So let's move on to everyone else. Then you have the players who were limited. Chase Claypool and James Washington were both limited for the second straight day. So the good news is, after being limited on Wednesday, they didn't move back on Thursday. The bad news is we don't know what limited means, as we already said.
They're taking it easy, I bet.
Yeah. So and then the other player who was limited was Carlos Davis, coming back from his 4 games missed due to a knee injury. He's been limited the last 2 games. 2 days. Sorry, man. Why can't I get days and games mixed up? Anyway, then you have the players who did practice. No surprise, Ben Roethlisberger practiced on Thursday after the shocking news about Ben Roethlisberger not practicing on Wednesday, which I know Jeff got a kick out of. Now,
Pro Football
Talk made a big deal out of Ben not practicing Wednesday. We're like, where have you been for the last 4 seasons?
Seriously.
So
not breaking news, people.
Yeah. Oh no, Ben Roethlisberger didn't practice. Yeah, big whoop. Okay, he was back. Melvin Ingram was back after having a day off. Cam Hayward was back after being limited on Wednesday with his quote unquote neck injury. They're just, having him take it easy. Who was the other one who didn't practice? Trey Turner. He was the other one who wasn't injury related. But the big news I still say is both Devin Bush and Cam Sutton full participants both days.
Yeah.
With their groin injuries. That's a big deal, in my opinion. I mean, right now, I have no reason to doubt that Devin Bush is going to play this week.
You would be silly to think anything less unless he's downgraded on Friday, unless he re-injures it on Friday. I mean, I feel like that's essentially what's happening with some of these groin injuries is that they're going to play unless it gets re-aggravated. And so right now it looks like he's good to go. I want to get this super chat up here. Sean Manahan, $5. Let's get this dub going into the bye and come out and start stacking them. Thank you, Sean. I think we all agree that would be fantastic. We're going to talk about the significance of this game here shortly. I want to talk about Mr. Witherspoon, and I want to let you all talk first about Mr. Witherspoon. Bryan Anthony Davis, go ahead and go first. What are your thoughts? What's up, Dave?
I did look that up from Brian Batko. He said that he was there Wednesday.
Okay. So
maybe he was there Wednesday.
Man,
but we don't know what was deal Thursday.
I bashed the hell out of that guy on Let's Ride, just so you know.
Who, Batko?
Yes.
No.
I like Batko.
Oh, okay.
Not like Brian Batko. He's good.
Okay.
I do too.
Brian. How many times do I do that, Jeff? Tell you something on this show and you're like, oh, no, I didn't do that on Let's Ride.
No, I'll be okay. Brian, you don't have to worry about anything. Brian, go ahead. Your take on Kellow Witherspoon since the Steelers made the trade with the Seahawks is what?
I don't know whether it wasn't scouted, whether it was fool's gold coming in. We were excited about this trade. Probably.
Who the heck he was.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people that were like, here we go. They're bringing in corners now. Every time I look, it seems like they're signing some kind of corner. I think they've got 17 corners on the practice squad. In my mind,
well, only 16 because they lost Mark Gilbert.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That stinks, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
But he's a real disappointment. The one bit of action that we saw him in was, oh my gosh, it was an egregious mistake, and against Henry Ruggs, if I'm not mistaken, and. So after that, you're thinking, all right, he's not playing. I mean, he didn't get a hat last week, right?
He's only got a hat the one time.
Okay, yeah. So he didn't get a hat last week, and now
or the week before.
Not only did he not get a hat, they chose to elevate Carl Joseph rather than give Witherspoon the hat because they had the spot in the secondary and they elevated someone from the practice squad.
Yeah, so that's telling the tale right there. And when you see coach's decision and you find out, okay, he was there yesterday, but coach's decision not playing. There's trouble in his world right now. He's calling his family and saying, "Yeah, I don't like it here. I want to come home," because you're going to probably not see him much longer, and it's not going to be a situation where they say, "Well, we traded for the guy. We've got to keep him." No, this is a guy you just can't. You got to say, "All right, we screwed up."
Yeah. Well. I want to bring something up here because it's important. Tyler W. says sometimes when you go into the bargain bin, you come up with Spaceballs, not Star Wars. That's not a good comparison. Spaceballs is better. So there you go.
You can't say something's better if you've not actually experienced both of them. You can't compare two things when you've only ever experienced one.
Yeah, you know what?
I can't say Heinz Field is better than Three River Stadium to watch a game because I never saw a game at Three River Stadium. Can't do it. End of story.
But Spaceballs is really, really good. And
Spaceballs is awesome.
Spaceballs is great. And I love Spaceballs.
But so you can't making it sound like Spaceballs stinks.
No, I love Spaceballs.
Yeah, but you're just defiant now with the Star Wars thing, just like Dave's defiant with Die Hard.
Yeah,
no, I really have zero interest in seeing the movies, zero, none. It's not defiance.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
No, because you would watch it, and you'd be like, all right, you know what, I was wrong. This is pretty good. You just will not watch it just because you've made so much of a stance.
No, when am I going to have time to watch it?
Oh, we're going to kidnap you.
Okay.
Well, there's only 11 movies,
movies,
and there's 11 movies and how many different series
and TV shows and little baby things, and
they are all Amazing. Anyway,
anyways, Dave, Kellow
Witherspoon. I was only going to say just a couple words, but now I have to kind of refute what Bryan said because I understand Bryan brought you one end of the spectrum. I'll bring you another end of the spectrum. A Kellow Witherspoon's, mother had surgery, or a Kellow Witherspoon's, significant other, had a doctor's appointment and is expecting her. I have no idea if any of these are true, but these are also reasons that you could have a coach's decision for not practicing during the week. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me jump in real quick.
Okay.
That's Trey Turner, non-football related.
No, that's not. No, coach's decision means you have permission to not be there. The coach decided it was okay. Not injury related means you sat out, but you don't have an injury. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, I'm
That's
reading
why
it
I thought it was significant that it was a coach's decision, which meant he had permission to not be there. That's what I put in my article, at least. That's just the way I read it. I don't know that either one of us is right. It's probably somewhere more in the middle.
We don't
know. But when it comes to him as a player for the Steelers, I was only going to say 2 words. I'm going to say 4 words. You ready? Brandon Boykin, Justin Gilbert.
Yeah, no, you're right. But
it's in the same mold.
I'm trying to. I wish I knew what they gave up for those players.
Either I think Gilbert was a 6th and Boykin was a 5th.
Similar, because would they give up a 5th for?
For
Witherspoon. And on my Let's Ride, I did rip into this guy and maybe called him some names. But anyways, it's important to note. I also added that the fact that he hasn't even gotten a helmet. Like Brandon Boykin at least was an active player on game day.
He just didn't see the field on defense.
Yeah, right. But I mean, at least
he
was
that's the problem with Witherspoon is that he's not a special teams guy let's just say this. He's played special teams in the past, but part of the reason Seattle didn't want him is they wanted somebody as a depth piece that was going to be more about special teams than what he was.
Yeah.
It
just really irks me. Anyways, let's move on to another topic, and that's injured reserve. The 2 players that are kind of probably itching to get off injured reserve and back on the field, that's Zach Banner and Anthony McFarland. I want to ask you all about Zach Banner. I know that this is something that we've talked about, but after last Sunday and the way that the offensive line played, do you feel that there's anything to, you don't necessarily want to add Banner because you might think that the offensive line's kind of getting going? Is there any justification in your mind about that? Bryan, we'll start with you.
I don't know. I think the fact that he's not in is because he's not ready. And I took a lot of criticism for my Chicks Core for.
I wish I would have been here Sunday. I was glad you were there. Bryan, send me the link. I'll get on my phone. Okay, from the boat.
I was trying to talk Bryan back. I was literally like, Bryan, are you sure you think this? Like, are you sure?
Wasn't that. It wasn't just that. I also would have read you this great tweet from Najee Harris from at 10:02 p.m. on July 23rd, where he said at Wikipedia, "Hey, y'all need to change my page. My middle name, not even Jerome. SMH."
Yeah, and so I read that this week, and it's something like Mazee, like MZE.
People can't find it. They're trying. It's like this big mystery now.
Well, they found it on a diploma on his on a special, like in the background, Najee MZHEE or something like that.
Not true. Fake news for us. It'll always be Jerome.
Jerome, yeah.
Once Jeff walks in, we got to get back to busting on Bryan about his take on Chicks Core.
Yeah, no, I got
a bad take.
I got killed on that. I absolutely got killed, and I guess I deserve it, but I don't think he's the best option there. I want to see Banner back. I'd rather see Joe Haeg than Chooks. As far as the running game goes, you're not going to do well with Chooks. Maybe as a passing game, you're going to do better. Then I even saw Mr. Highsmith come out, and he came out and said, why are you all busting on Chooks? I don't think he was talking about me, but if he was, that's awesome because that means he's listening. But I just don't get Chooks. I think the experiment should be over.
I think my question should have been, maybe I should have phrased this better. I think we all assume that when Banner is ready to come back and gets off IR, he will be the right tackle for the Steelers. To me, the question is, who's left tackle? That's the question. Do you keep the rookie in there, Dan Moore, or do you go Chooks, where he was supposed to be the left tackle coming into the season anyways? Dave, what do you think?
That's the $1 million question. And like Coach Tomlin said, he'd rather have 6 options than 4 when it comes to the offensive line. And it's a great point. But I'm going to throw out a little bit of a hypothetical. It might be that Zach Banner could be ready for this week, but they wanted to see who was going to play well and who wasn't last week. And based on that, they had a better idea what they wanted to do with him. Since they don't have to activate him until the following Tuesday, after this week's game, they could. And I messed up. I thought it was this week he had to come back, but I was thinking 3 weeks, not 21 days, which I know you say is the same thing, but I was thinking 3 games, not 3 weeks is what I meant to say. But it might still be, hey guys, we've got Zach waiting here. I mean, if he comes back, who's not going to get a helmet out of the 4 tackles? Him, a quarter 4,
It would be Haig,
Dan Moore or Joe Haig. I mean, literally get a helmet on game day, because you can't have 4 tackles. I mean, you don't want to have 4 tackles because then you're really short at guard and center. So you need those other players there. So it's almost like, well, if he's going to come back and we're not sure who to give a helmet to, why even bother to bring him back? We'll just have him not have the helmet. So it's almost like these guys get one more week to show what they can do. And if they don't, guess what? You've got him, Banner, sitting there waiting and ready to go. I don't know if that's the case, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was.
There's a part of me that thinks they kind of want to try to wait until after the bye week anyways. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of get because they do have those additional practices. What do they practice? It's early, isn't it? Don't they practice like Monday, Tuesday, and then they're off? Or
well, they're not going to practice Monday.
They won't practice Monday, but they do have a couple practices.
Either Tuesday or Wednesday, they'll run a practice, and then they'll let them go and won't bring them back. And then they might come back for like a bonus practice Monday.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And then off Tuesday, and then right back again.
Yeah.
So.
Let's get this up on the screen here. Sean Manahan gives us another $5. Thank you, Sean. He says, Okorafor was great against Denver as he was last year. He still sucks against everyone else. Let's see what he does Sunday night before we anoint him. I don't think anyone's anointed
him. His rookie year. His one start was against Denver.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's what I'm talking about. Like with the whole like bringing Banner back, is there a part of maybe Coach Clem that says, look, these guys are just starting to get it. Do we really want to mix this up right now? If we don't have to. Now, someone like Bryan would say we have to, because he doesn't believe that Chooks is good at anything, in which case then you want to make a change. But clearly the Steelers are, unless he's not ready, like Bryan said, and that is an option too.
I think one of the things that I'm looking at here is what Dave was just talking about. What's the decision that's made when Banner comes back and you put him at right tackle, and who do you put at left? And I think right now you have to keep going with a rookie that's starting to get it as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to Dave mentioned a few weeks ago that you could take him out, you could give him a chance to come back in and earn your way back, but I don't want to stunt a rookie's growth with the way he's been playing. And I thought he had a fantastic week last week.
Yeah, he had a really good week this week. He's had some rough ones in there, but he had a good one this week.
And I want you all to answer this question. And this is from Jerry Cherryband, who does all the music for our podcast. Thank you. Big shout out to Jerry. Make sure you check him out on YouTube. Great channel, especially if you're a novice guitarist like myself. He says, how do we know that Banner's any good? I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah. He has one started tackle.
He was a tackle eligible guy who everyone loved. Everyone loves Zach Banner and all his story, and he's great in the community. I'm not taking anything away from there. But how do we know that he is such a huge upgrade? Anyone? Bryan, you want to take a stab at it?
I think he's a good run blocker. I've, as a tackle eligible, we haven't seen him as right tackle. He was tackle eligible. He obviously played pretty well in that first game. And, a lot of people are calling it one quarter, but he got hurt in the fourth quarter of that game. I think he's had more action than a lot of people realize. He had a lot of snaps as that tackle eligible, and I know that's not the same thing, but he's a run blocking specialist. So I think when you're when you're trying to elevate a running game, that Zach Banner's the guy that you want to look at. But you're right. I mean, Jerry's right. I mean, we don't know for a fact because we haven't seen him, but obviously the team knows what they were giving him when they brought him back, when he could have walked after being hurt, or they could have just let him go after being hurt.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, there's some really interesting points here, because the thing is, if they were really, I mean, the Steelers tried to swing it last year of, it was really close between Chooks and Banner. And the fact that it was right tackle was probably why Banner won. If it had been left, it might have been the other way around. That's the way they played it. We don't know. There was no preseason. But you also got to look at it this way. Like last year when it came to the Steelers offensive line, you were fine with a, 70% of himself David DeCastro, or a 70% of himself Marquise Pouncey. You're talking about Pro Bowl guys. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about Zach Banner, even if he's 95%, that 95% might not be better than the guy in front of him, but the 100% might. That could very well be the difference, because we're not talking about a guy that was, tearing up completely before he got hurt. He had won the job, got the start for one game, and couldn't even finish that game before that terrible injury. So that's what we don't know. We basically have to put all our faith in the Steelers coaching staff and everyone there that's watching them day in and day out at practice, that they're going to make the best decision, because we simply don't have the data to draw a big conclusion on it.
That's a good point. I don't want to get too far down the road. As of this being recorded, Zach Banner is still on injured reserve, has not been taken and put on the 53-man roster. And like Dave said, they have until Tuesday to do that. I do want to ask a question before we take a break that was asked by Knight Rider 16. It's a great question. I was going to bring it up. And in fact, with Juju Smith-Schuster now injured and going to go on IR, here's the question. Who gets the majority of snaps in the slot? It's been primarily Juju's role, really the last few seasons. Bryan, we'll start with you. Who do you think, moving forward, gets the majority of snaps in the slot on offense?
Possibly James Washington, or do they decide to move Deontay into that spot? I don't really know.
Yeah, it's tough. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to actually figure this out to see, I don't know. I'm trying to see, Chase Claypool, he played 9 snaps in the slot on Sunday, but he didn't play that many snaps in the game, because I think they were still kind of limiting him with that hamstring. That, I don't know if that's true. That's what it seemed like when we were at the stadium talking about it. We're like, why isn't Claypool out here for this set? Why is it this? And it was like, I think they're trying to not overwork him with that hamstring, but he still played, 9 snaps in the slot. I'd have to look everybody else up individually. There was no James Washington on Sunday. Didn't know if he'd have been put in there. I don't know. And frankly, I like the fact that on Tuesday, Coach Tomlin didn't tell them, because I'd rather not tell the other team what you're going to do. And now they don't know who to prepare for that's going to be in the slot.
I think it's going to be a mixture. And Mike Tomlin said this on Tuesday, and I agree with him. You're going to see probably the one player I don't think you'll see in the slot is James Washington. Sorry, Bryan. I just think he's an outside guy. Deontay Johnson can go into the slot. Claypool can go into the slot. He scored his touchdown from the slot. I think also you'll see, I really hope they start using Najee Harris as more of a receiver. I think he's capable. I think some tight ends. Gosh, he's
maybe some Ebron.
Yeah.
You might see some Ray in there too.
Yeah.
He's got to get some action before Miller.
Yeah. No, you're right. And Ben pumped him up big time on Wednesday. Ben was talking a lot about Ray.
And if you guys either read my offensive PFF article or listened to the Scobro show, you would know that the according to Pro Football Focus, the most highly graded run blocking wide receiver in the NFL through 5 weeks is Cody White.
I thought you were going to say Deontay Johnson. I was going to say shut
Cody,
the front door.
Cody White is the highest ranked run blocking wide receiver in the NFL through 5 weeks. So remember that.
Yeah, that's
in 3 games. So yeah,
that's interesting. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Those of you that are watching live on YouTube or Facebook, don't go anywhere. We're gonna be right here. Those that are on the audio side, head over to part 2. We're gonna talk more about this upcoming game against the Seahawks, over under trivia, and of course our predictions. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to the second segment, the second part of the Steelers preview. I'm Jeff Hartman, senior editor at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, joined by Dave Schofield, editor at BTSC, Bryan Anthony Davis, our podcast producer. We are talking about all things Steelers versus Seahawks. I kind of want to get your all's thoughts, just a general knee-jerk kind of reaction to this game, more so to the significance of this game. Week 6, yeah, there are no must-win games in Week 6. You win this game, we know what it means. 3-3 heading into the bye week, coming out of the bye, you have a rivalry game against Cleveland. Compare that to 2-4. Boy, that's a stark difference, in my opinion. Dave, I'm going to throw it over to you first. What are your thoughts about this game, and especially the significance of it?
I mean, I'm sorry. Game 6 is a big game when you're sitting where you are right now. Imagine, just think. We could say baseball, forget baseball. Let's go hockey. I know the last I saw the Pens were up 4-3. Let's go hockey in the playoffs in a 7-game series. What is game 6? Are you going to get to 3-3 or are you going to be at 2-4? If you're coming into it,
series over.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not series. It's not game over for the Steelers if they don't win this game. But there is a huge difference, especially going into the bye, between 3-3 and 2-4.
Yeah, and there's no other way to say it. I think this is like as big a Week 6 game as you can get. Go ahead, Bryan. What do you think?
I'm going to channel my Steven Tyler and Aerosmith. If you get to 3-3, you're back in the saddle again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could be not just that, but back in black and gold, then you're in good shape. This is huge. And I'm tending to agree with Dave here on this one. You don't want to be 2-4 going into the break. If you're at 3-3, guess what? You're even Steven. You're back in the hunt at that point. You had some gifts last week by Cincinnati going down, by Cleveland going down in an absolute fantastic game, by the way. And then you almost had that extra gift with getting a game on Baltimore, but it did not happen. So
they've been gifted several games.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's... I can go.
Yeah, you got to find a way to win those kind of games.
Was there a better loss than the Bengals loss where the kicker is celebrating the could be game winning kick and he missed and they're like high fiving each other?
I saw it on highlights.
I saw it live.
I was there.
I saw it live. I was like, this is so Bengals right now. And I know that they beat the Steelers and I know they're ahead of them in the standings, but this is so Cincinnati Bengals, the way they lost that game.
There's Bengals fans that were in that stadium that saw him react, went home happy. They had no clue, I'm sure, because that's a Bengals fan. And I have no problem saying that. They are the dumbest fans in football. And they are. I have no problem saying that.
And this is coming from the guy that said Seattle has 2 losses.
It doesn't make me the dumbest fan in football.
Exactly.
That means the guy that's just not paying attention.
Those Bengals fans had no idea they were getting on the Escalooser that day.
They were just going for some Skyline chili. But no, I don't even know where I'm going with this. But the fact, this
what
is
was the question?
Of course, it's not must win, but yeah, it kind of is. I mean, you get a great fit. Look at everybody that was walking around happy on Monday and Sunday night, feeling elated that the Steelers finally won a game after losing 3 in a row, and they were still 2-3. There's sun shining in Pittsburgh and the fans of all of Steeler Nation on a 2-3 team just because they broke a 3-game losing streak. So if they get to 3-3, there's a lot. I mean, the players can just say, okay, we're 500. We've got 5 division games left. We can get back in this. And you also look at the wild card situation too. They can get back in the hunt and get back into the top 7 because that's all you need to be in the top 7. And look at when we start really looking at AFC standings in a few more weeks, They're going to be in striking distance if they can keep it going. But not only that, if you're 3-3 and you're getting ready to play a rival, that this is a hot, stinking rival right now. This is one that, I mean, this is bigger than Steelers and Ravens right now in the minds of a lot of people because it's the Browns. For this season, it's huge. I see Jeff's. I just smelled a fart face, and because he's like, "What?"
Yeah, the Ravens are the Ravens, man. Like
I realize this is
game.
Getting huge. This is going to be huge.
Oh, it is.
The fact that it's the Browns and it's become a rivalry, and they've lost three straight against the Browns, or something like that, or two straight. No, two straight.
No, they beat them at home,
but
last year.
Or three. They've lost 3 out of 4, but it just doesn't feel. It just feels like they're elevated, and now you're seeing Baker in the top 5 and all of this, and of quarterbacks, and they're believing what they're shoveling right now. So with that being said, I really think this game's huge. You go into that game pumped up after a week off, you could be in the right direction.
Dave, I need you to read this super chat, please, from Sean Manahan. Gave us $2.
Hey, Felicia.
Sean gave us.
I was waiting for this.
He gave us $2 for that. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Quick question. Since you all brought up the division, go ahead, Dave. You had a question. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, did Brian say anything else? I heard him say striking distance, and I was just, caught up with
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No.
That's Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
That's
filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. That's I went all Seattle has 2 losses after that, but I was just going to say before you moved on, Jeff, as Steeler fans, whether it's people individually, we know collectively. Got to throw shout out to Coach Tomlin, individually and collectively. You're only as confident as your last game. End of story. You lose the last game, your confidence is way down. Okay, you'll win a game, boom, your confidence is back up. That's why it's really nice winning going into the bye week, because you want that confidence to roll through that extra time, moving on into the rest of the season.
For sure. A quick question about the division. Are you all believers in the Ravens? Like, there have been times where you're like, man, the Ravens are good. Like, they're a really good team, tough to beat. Are you all buying the Ravens this year, or are you kind of selling that they're getting some pretty good bounces, calls, whatever? Brian, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm starting to buy it just for the fact that when you get lucky enough, you start believing it, and then you get better just by getting lucky sometimes. And I just feel like the chips are falling with them. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know if it's going to drop this year, just because there's teams that are snake bitten, and then there's teams that are charmed. And this team right now seems charmed.
Charm City.
Yeah, Charms, and I just want to punch his face every time I see it, and that's John Harbaugh.
Oh yeah,
John. I mean, him celebrating and all the looks he was given when they were losing, and I'm just like, man, I want to fight you.
Do you hate Harbaugh more than Billick?
Oh yeah.
Really, I used to hate.
I hate Harbaugh more than
Belichick. The question is, does he hate him more than he hates Chooks?
Oh, I don't hate Chooks. Do not hate Chooks.
So, is there any coach you hate more than Wang Harbs? Is the question, Brian?
No, there might not be another coach in history. There's probably not a coach in history that I hate more than Harbs.
I hated Bellick when he was. Oh my god!
Oh no, I didn't like.
I
Bellick.
hated him. Oh man, he was a whiny baby, and the team was dirty, and Ray Lewis and all this. Oh,
yeah, I think this guy's worse.
He's a crybaby for sure.
I think he is worse, and I say this all the time because the Harbaughs talk about how they got their aggressiveness and their winning attitude from their mom, and I'm like, man, she must be awful too.
All right, Dave, at the Ravens, are you selling them?
Just called their mom awful.
Yes,
I love
did.
it. Okay. Here's the problem. Honestly, as much as I want to sell because I don't think they're that great, because I mean, look, as the weeks go on, that win that was handed to them by the Chiefs, where they fumbled it away, is looking less and less impressive. Now, it might look more impressive later when the Chiefs can get going. They don't look like a very strong team right now. Unfortunately, the Steelers don't play them right now. They play them much later when maybe they're going to get it all together. but that's what I'd say about that. Then you have two teams that combined have one win, and you basically should have lost both of those games and don't. That's, one of them even at home. I mean, the problem was I was talking with a Ravens fan last night. He's like, oh, that was all in the Colts. They didn't play to win. They played to not lose. And when you do, that's what you do. I'm like, you're exactly right. You just summed it up perfectly with the way that game finished up. So, because to me, trying to just settle for that field goal when your offense was rolling and you knew that your kicker was injured, the one that got blocked. So I digress. The problem is when you're on one of those teams that you're not playing all that great. I mean, it's not that you're not playing great, is you don't seem like you're that solid of a team based on what you're doing with the competition you're up against, but you're managing to win games. That can build confidence to when you then get it together and you're in a really good place. So that's the thing. That's why you still have to give a team a credit for the record that they have. That even though those were interesting games, the way they played out, they managed to win them. And that's why they're 4-1. And so they're a 4-1 team. That's who they are.
They are who we thought they were. All right, Let's go to over-under time. You all ready for this? Here we go. Ben Roethlisberger attempts. They took a nosedive last week. Last week, I had the over-under of 42.5. My gosh, he only threw the ball 25 times, and I loved it. Gonna up the attempts a little bit this week. Over-under is 32.
Oh, I thought you meant upped it from what you said last week.
No. Brian, I mean from what he actually did last week. Brian, what do you think? Over-under 32 attempts for BTR, Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger.
You know what? I could actually say that he is going to be slightly over, but that's not going to be a problem.
Dave,
I'm going to say slightly under. I think it'll be more than last week. I think you're looking around 30 or 31, which I mean barely under.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning to, a little bit under. Okay, rushing yards for Najee Jerome Harris. 120 is the line. Shockingly, last week it was 65.5. He rushed for over 120 last week against Denver. Very good defense. 120 is the line this week. Brian, what do you think?
This is really funny because I asked Kevin Smith this question as well, and you can hear it more on the Steelers pregame show coming up Saturday morning when it comes out. But I talked to Kevin and I said, you've got the 31st ranked rushing offense in the Steelers and the 31st ranked rushing defense in the Seattle Seahawks. Which one has the advantage? And when you look at it, you almost feel like the rushing team, the offense is going to have the advantage over a bad rushing defense.
Especially at home.
Yes, at home. I feel like that blocking scheme, the entire offensive line is getting better. And I think Najee is going off. So I'm going to say that he's going to get his second consecutive 100-yard game. So over.
All right, Dave.
So you're going over the 120.
One over 120.
I thought you said 102. My gosh, I'm hearing dyslexic now.
I'm speaking dyslexic, so that's we're good.
All right, he's gonna get over 100. I'm gonna say slightly under 120.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, I see exactly what you guys are saying with the 31st versus the 31st. Here's the thing that I like to think about is how often do you see a team's defense really start to step up when you have when you have to bring in the backup quarterback due to injury, when that person has to start? How many times do you see that? That's what happens, that they really rally, defensively, trying to do as much as they can, which I can't remember what show I said this on. I think it was Stat Geek. Then why don't they do that all the time? But still, I think for that reason, I think we will see a better rushing defense by the Seahawks. So therefore, I'm going to say under 120, and I think it's going to be, we'll see if he can get to 100.
Over 120. He's going wild. Get ready.
I would love it. I know.
I know. All right, next, Najee Jerome Harris's receiving yards. I'm going to say it every time.
I love Jeff.
It's just like Frank, or your boy, your favorite running back.
Yeah.
50 is the number. 50 over under, Brian.
I think he's going off this week. I'm going to say he's going to break one for at least 30. So he'll go over 50.
All right, Dave.
For receptions, yeah, this is where I'm going to go over just because I think he's going to be utilized a little bit more, as well as other people with the loss of Juju.
I'm going to say under receiving yards. It's all going to be on the ground. And that was for Frank Webb, by the way, in case anyone's wondering who Frank is. All right, sacks. The Steelers getting sacks has not been what we all thought they would be. What do they? How they have 10, Dave? Isn't that what I heard in your Stat Geek today?
Yeah, 10.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, so both teams have 10.
Yeah, we'll set it at 2.5. 2.5 over under. Brian, what do you think?
It's time to break on through to the other side. Yeah, over.
Dave?
I'm going to go over, but not by much. I'm hoping it could be 3. I mean, Seattle has been sacked 13 times so far this year, so that's about 2.5 a game. So hopefully hopefully they can get to Geno a little bit, and it'll be at least 3.
I think TJ's feeling probably a little bit healthier, might be able to trust his body a little bit more. I think he's going to have a good game, and so will hopefully Alex Highsmith. Hello, wake up, do something, please. At least a quarterback hit, something. I'm going to go over. Quarterback hits surrendered. Okay, this is on Big Ben. Last week we did 6.5, and they only surrendered 2. Quarterback hits this week, we'll set it at 2.5. Brian, over under.
Over.
Okay.
Slightly, but they'll get maybe 3 or 4.
Okay, Dave, what do you think?
Hits. You said did you say 3 or 3.5?
2.5.
You said 2.5. Okay, then I'll go over. But I think it's going to be about 3.
Under 2 again. I think they keep them pretty clean. Takeaways for the Steelers defense 2. Brian.
Takeaways 2. You know what? Geno's, they're going to make Geno cough the ball up. They're going to make Geno throw some interceptions. So I'm going to, actually think that maybe this might be a get right game for interceptions as well, and get some turnovers and fix that plus minus a little better.
So you're saying over?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yes. Over.
All right, Dave.
My heart wants to say that they are going to get a bunch of takeaways, but the data analyst in me and looking at the numbers that they only have 4 so far this season doesn't give me a lot of faith in them getting 2. So I'll say under with 1.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater hadn't thrown an interception until last week either, but I still think 1 is the number. So I'm going to say under. How about the Steelers turning the ball over? I'm just going to set this at 1. Brian, what do you think?
I'm going to go push.
Okay. Dave?
Push it real good.
We'll all salt and pepper it there. And then lastly, Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger touchdown passes. We'll say 1.5. Brian, over under?
Over 17.
Yes. And Dave?
Over.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to go with 2. All right, let's do some predictions. Let's talk about what we think this game. Dave, what's the current line? I had 5.5 on my tally site. Michael picked his when it was 4.5. So
no, that was Mark Davidson, or maybe Michael did too. When
I did Michael's segment for Let's Ride, when he said his picks, it was 4.5.
Okay, so there was multiple people that did that. Everything that I had seen so far had been 5. So I'm double checking again one more time. And I forget it's at the very end of the list because it's a Sunday night game, and I have it at 5.
Okay, we'll just do a straight up 5. Brian, let's start with you. What's your prediction for the game? How do you see it playing out?
Well, I am going to go back to my own over under here, and I'm going to go with the over when I say that over how many live chats, how many criticisms I will get that say, what is he smoking? There's no way this team's going to get over 30 points. But yeah, they are. They're going to break 30. They're winning this game 31-23 this week. This is a very bad defense. Did I steal yours, Dave?
Literally written down right here. Where'd it go?
No one can see that.
31-23.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that? It's already documented on the pregame show. So.
Oh, that's great. I was just thinking of it now and wrote it down right there.
Love it.
Well,
yeah.
We're in sync.
Do you want to talk about anything?
Yeah. Just because I say that Seattle's defense could show up and do some better things to try to help support their backup quarterback. They still are coming east, but that didn't stop them two seasons ago.
Yeah.
But I do like that it's a primetime game, and I want to see if the Steelers step up in primetime at home to see what they can do there. And I would like to see this offense do just a little bit more like they have been. And the reason I could see them going over 30 is I think it's finally one of those weeks where the Steelers get a non-offensive score again.
Okay, I have the Steelers winning. Shocker, I know. I have the Steelers winning. I do agree with you all that I have them getting to the 30-point plateau. I have them scoring 30 points even. And I have them beating Seattle pretty handily, but the Seahawks get a late, garbage time touchdown to make the final score 30-20. I have the Steelers winning 30-20. Again, a last-second touchdown pass or whatever makes the score look a little bit closer than what the game really was. I think the Steelers come out and actually show that they are making some steps in progress and making some changes that are necessary. And that last week wasn't a flash in the pan, that this team might actually be getting better. So I'm thinking the defense might score a touchdown, though. Keep that in mind. All right, we have trivia. Brian, do you have yours, or do you not have one tonight?
I actually have them.
All right, well, let's do Brian's first.
All right. So the Seattle Seahawks are the only team in NFL history to do this, and it has not been on the football field.
I got it.
Change conferences.
That's what I was going to say. Change conferences after the merger.
Wow, guys, you did well on that one.
Yeah.
So because you got it so quick, since you got it so quick, I'm going to go to Trivia B. And Trivia B is this. The Seahawks made a horrendous trade in 1977, giving up a first rounder and a third rounder to another team for this Hall of Fame player.
19 what? What year?
1977.
I don't know.
Wow. 1977. I wasn't even born.
But if you're a Steeler fan, you know this.
So in 77. Jeff?
I don't know.
Big part of the Steelers Super Bowl rivalry.
I've already gotten one right tonight. I'm done.
Yeah, you're done for the season, Jeff.
So Seattle acquired this player in 1977.
Yes, and I made a mistake. It was in exchange for a first and 3 second-round picks.
It's under
Three
this is under
second-round
protest.
picks?
It's under protest
Yes.
now. You made a mistake.
Somebody from the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Who it's not Cliff Harris. It's not I don't know enough of the Cowboys. How about Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame.
Somebody like I cheated and looked in the live chat. I couldn't remember his name, and now I do because Jerry Cherryband said, sorry, I have to give him credit. He says Largent.
No. Nope.
Yeah. I don't know.
No.
Why don't you just tell us who it is?
I am going to. Pittsburgh's own number 33, Tony Dorsett.
He played for the Seahawks?
No, he didn't play for the Seahawks. They traded the draft choice. So
I thought you traded the
player.
player.
A player too.
I thought you traded for the way you said they were trading the player.
No, I said the player was. We'll have to go back to the tape. I thought.
Now this question is really under pressure.
Yeah. Okay. They traded up for somebody. I got you now.
What are you going to do? Strip me of trivia privilege?
That's why I was trying to think of somebody from the Cowboys.
You just get one. You're only allowed one.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Najee Jerome Harris is only one. All right. Good trivia. Sort of. Dave, go ahead.
Okay, now I can do my trivia. If you listen to Stat Geek, you know what this is going to be about because this was some numbers that I meant to look up and I didn't for that. So I did it here. Here's what's very interesting. Did you know that Sunday's game was very important for one head coach, Mike Tomlin, because it was the 245th career game, including the postseason, that he has coached. And what was interesting is going into that game, he had 122 games in which the Steelers did not rush for 100 yards and 122 games in which they had rushed for 100 yards. So by going over 100 yards, they then got into that to where he's still above, more games of rushing for 100 yards than less. He got above the 50% there. But so the Steelers have rushed for over 100 yards 123 times under Coach Tomlin. How many wins do you think they have in those games?
Wait a second. Didn't I hear on StatGeek that you said he's won every one but one?
No. I would say they'd won 18 in a row.
18 in a row.
Yeah. And then the one that they didn't win was the tie, because I was going to throw that in there.
Yes.
Because that's what's interesting about all these.
Cleveland.
Yep. And then you've got
Jesse James catch.
Yep. Then that was the next one before that. And then it was 12 more straight before that. But do you have any idea how many they've won? Because remember, they rushed it over 100 yards a lot of times early on.
Out of 129?
Out of 123.
Oh. I'm going to say they've won 118.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
All but 5?
Yep.
I'm going to go 108.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's 97, which is still 79.3. That's 79.3% winning percentage whenever they rush for 100 yards or more. When they don't rush for 100 yards or more, how many wins do you think they have in those 122 games?
67.
I'm going to go 80.
58.
Yay, I win.
Because, so in other words, Mike Tomlin's overall win percentage is 63.5%, including the postseason. But when they rush for 100 yards, it's almost 80%. And whenever they don't rush for 100 yards, their record is 58-64. That is a 47.5% winning percentage. So as you can see, the Steelers do much better when they rush for 100 yards. It's not cause and effect. A lot of times they do that because of the way the games are playing out. But here was one more question that I had for Bad. I was wondering if he knew this one. There have been 2 different times under Coach Tomlin where the Steelers have lost 5 games in a season where they rushed for over 100 yards. Any idea which seasons they would have been rushing a lot over 100 yards and still been losing games? Jeff can answer this too, but I mean,
I was going to say, what the heck?
Yeah, it wasn't just for Bad, but this is
Jeff, you've already
2009.
That's correct. 2009.
Yeah, suck on that, Brian.
I'll go with 2013.
Oh, that was a good guess, but it was actually 2015.
Okay, I love cocky Jeff. It's awesome.
Yes.
And I can't wait. He's all, suck on that. He's gonna go and he's gonna wake up his wife and go, honey, I got 2 trivia questions right tonight.
That's right. 3,
Celebrate
actually.
Me. Yeah,
because I got closest on the ones. That's technically 3.
You were still over. If it was Price is Right, you'd be.
Anyways, Brian, please, why don't you tell the live chat listeners and the podcast listeners about something cool we have coming up during the bye week that might actually involve them being participants.
Yeah, check this out. So we are going to be busy during the bye week, so you need to stick with BTSC for all your Pittsburgh Steelers need. Because just because the Steelers aren't playing next Sunday doesn't mean that we're not going to have all kinds of Steelers talk, but we want to get you guys involved too, and ladies as well. So we are going to ask for everybody in the live chat, anybody that is an audience member of BTSC, of any of our 25 plus original shows. We're going to ask you to talk about the season in a 60-minute, excuse me, sorry. You did it earlier, Dave. You actually said 60 minutes earlier when we were having our talk.
Okay.
So in a 60-second clip, we're going to ask you to send it in to us and tell
audio clip.
Tell us how the season is going, what your thoughts of the season so far is. Just keep it, like I said, keep it under a minute. Send it in to us, and you can send it to
Well, don't yet, because we've gotta.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Well, wait, you're right.
Yeah, we want to get the sixth game in, and we're going to have there some specific, just a couple specific things that we want you to address. So we'll make sure that we get that out there, exactly what you need to do whenever the time comes.
Dave coming in out of the bullpen to save me there. I appreciate that.
So be on the lookout. We'll be talking about it on our podcast platform here on
YouTube
the
post
and
game
Facebook.
too.
We'll talk about it there. I won't be there, but
yes,
they'll talk about it. And then also we'll have an article on behindthesteelcurtain.com that'll outline all the details for that if you're interested. All right, let's do some quick final thoughts. Bryan, go ahead.
You know what? This season started off awesome, 1-0. Then it took a turn. 3 straight losses, and everybody felt broken as a Steeler fan. Then one win comes along against a 3-1 team, the Denver Broncos, and everybody's feeling good again. And if you feel like you're on a roller coaster, that's okay, because there's still going to be ups and downs in this season. But what I'm going to say to you on this team is always going to keep you hanging on, and you don't leave during a 3-game losing streak. That means you've got black and gold running through your veins like all of us do. So I congratulate you. You are allowed to get angry when things aren't going right, and you're allowed to celebrate when it's going well. But notice, over the last 50 years, there's been a lot more celebrating than there's been sulking. So keep with these Steelers. I think after the break, you're going to see some really amazing stuff, and it could all start when they play Cleveland. But you cannot look past Seattle, a team that, if you don't mind me saying, Seattle has 3 losses.
Dave, good final thoughts.
Yeah, Steelers. If you're going to make me have to stay up that late on Sunday night to watch the game and do the post-game show and write articles for the website, you better win. Thank you.
Amen. That's good. All right, Dave. Why don't you send us out?
Hey.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week for another Steelers preview. Check out Bryan and Dave on the post-game show, as well as all of our other content. We'll see you next week. Go Steelers.